the stone carvings at Tiahuanaco. And the image that I'm going to follow through the diagrams from Sawyer's book is this one here of the falcon-headed running, well, a messenger is what I always call them, a winged messenger. They always have a staff, and they have one foot going forward and the other foot coming back, and they're wearing some kind of a mantle that flows behind them. And then little things like those heads are decorative. Well, I mean, I would call them decorative. We don't know, what they meant, but they are often put onto the ends of things. And also there are things that are associated with the tail feathers of birds, on the ends of things. So this little guy running is what I'm going to follow here. And there's a simplified drawing that I think is pretty easy to recognize. And then this is the stylized version, but this is just the beginning of the stylized version. So the eyes have now become bifurcated. So usually they have a dark side and a light side, but it doesn't always make sense looking at it in terms of people, which one is dark and which one is light. He's looking up, and the beak is up here. There's the hand holding the staff, and there's a head at the end of each end of the staff, and then the mantle flowing back, and this is the rear foot. So to make things more complicated, besides stylizing things, they also started to compress things. And this is a more stylized, no, this is the same version here. This is the same thing, but they've taken the second half, so everything in this part, and stretched it way out. And the only reason I could think of why they would do that, so this is a vertical band, and part of it is squished up and part of it is stretched out. And I think that it would make it look more impressive when you were wearing it. But there may be other reasons, why they did that. So the image on the bottom was one that I showed earlier, and it's the same image that we were just looking at. So here's the diagram, and here's the tapestry. And sometimes it's easiest to find the feet because they always have like a dot where the ankle would be, and you see the toes very clearly. So one is pointing down and one is pointing forward, and the head is pointing up and leaning all the way back. So there's a headdress right there. And then this is the wings back here. And this is, which is confusing because it looks a little bit like feet, but this is the shawl, or a piece of costume that's kind of flowing in back of them. So let me go on.
Mickie, could that be interpreted as a two-legged being basically being on one knee rather than running?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I pictured it myself as running, but in one of the articles I was reading, it said they could be kneeling. Yeah. They do have one foot forward,
Yeah.
rather than tucked under.
That is a form of kneeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is just that blown up again, and facing the other direction. So in this particular vertical band, they were facing right and left as you go up the band.
Can you tell me which way the warp threads are going on this?
I'm sorry?
Which direction the warp threads are, like, where are they? What direction are they?
Vertical.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
From the bottom here up, or from the side over?
turn it on its side and weave. Does that make sense?
So they're weaving it from side, like if you're looking at this picture, would the beginning of the weave be on the left side of this picture or at the bottom?
Oh, it would be on the side,
On the side, that's. what I
Yeah.
thought.
I think.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so here's another one. And the figures are often anthropomorphic, and sometimes it's hard to tell what kind of animal they're thinking of. So if we look at this face right here, it's the blue part. So it makes it, easier to see this. The teeth are very prominent.
Blow it up, yeah.
Blow it up, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
of course. I'm sorry. I'm not used to being able to do that yet. Okay, where's the- Okay. So the nose is round and there's just a little ornament under the eye. And like the bird, it's looking up. They're not invariably looking up. Sometimes they look straight ahead, but most of the ones on the bands are looking up. And then you can see it's plain weave on either side.
About how big is that? I mean, the width, how many inches?
Well, some of it, they're about 40 inches across, and some of them have just 2 panels, and some of them have as many as 6 panels across the whole thing.
And this is one panel.
This is only one segment of one panel. Yeah. And so they're also starting to, well, I mean, it's the way I've arranged it for the slideshow, but I tried to have the simpler ones first that were stylized, but not as compressed. All right, here's another one. And some of these look like cartoons to us. And you just try so hard to get into the head of what were they thinking, and you really can't. So sometimes the thing that tips you off when you're looking at something and it doesn't really read as anything is this little diagonal line here, which is the arm. And sometimes it meets another line coming down to the legs. In this case, it's been stylized so much that this is the leg, but it's completely separated from the foot facing forward. And same thing for the foot that's in back, that's pointed down. But what?
Could you blow it up?
Yeah.
The value, yeah, now it's starting to come into.
Can I? Oh, good. I can grab onto it. There we go. So the eye looks like it has eyelashes. It has a very prominent round nose. It has feline teeth, but a human hand. And then over on this side, the wing and back has been completely compressed. And let's go on. All right, here's one that's kind of the ultimate in the stylization. And in fact, looking at this shape right here, I'm sorry it isn't, the whole piece. That this shape right here shows me that this is the arm and the leg is going down here. And those are the teeth. And the eye has been almost completely compressed, and you can't see the headdress at all. And this whole section over here, everything on the other side of this dark line is the staff, but it's very hard to differentiate where the hand is holding the staff. So I went back to this little fragment of the jaguar because I've got a bunch of nice ones of the jaguars. And this is a little bit easier to read than some of the others. Okay, so in the middle, this is, oh shoot, sorry. Okay, at any rate, you're seeing most of the textile. And the head would go through a slit in the middle. And it's very common to have two jaguars on the front, and then there would be repeated on the back, and then something like a necklace of shells going around. And I'm
Are
just,
those actual shells or?
no, this
No.
is this
is
is
it
all
woven in?
this is all a woven design. Now I'm just gonna blow it up again.
And these are all out of a camelid fiber?
Yes. With a cotton warp. Okay. It is 2-ply cotton warps and 2-ply camelid wool weft. So, oh, sorry, lost my train of thought there. Okay, I wanted to bring up this part so that I can show you two figures. No. Who are standing this time rather than running. And all right, this one, can you tell when I use the
Yeah,
cursor?
yeah.
Yeah, okay. This one has a bird head pointed to our left. And here's the hand, which also has kind of claw-like features. The feet also have that little dot for the ankle, but they're just facing forward. But on the other hand, instead of the square toes, they have claws there too. And in back, all right, this one ends right there. That's the next person's staff right there. And so the wing is just sort of rudimentary back there, but very attractive headdress on this one with, you know, kind of overhanging features. Over here, it is a human, apparently, who has a big burly nose and bared teeth and a kind of a necklace. And there's his hand. And when you come down here, you can see the difference between his feet, which have, you know, toes pointing forward, and the bird's feet, which have claws. So this is another one with 4 jaguars in the middle, and then the representation of the necklace around it. And still another one. And after seeing the others, I think it's easier to pick out the jaguars here. But it took me a minute to, you know, to be able to figure them out, that the eyes aren't divided like they usually are. And the head is right here, and the body, and then the 2 clawed feet facing that way. And then, of course, the one next to it is a mirror image, except different colors. And then the ones up above are mirror images, but that way. And then the ornamentation around it is a little bit different too. Oh, all right. I forgot that I had blown this up to show you what I just showed you. Okay. Now this is another jaguar, but this one is running. And again, the bottom is cut off. It would be better if we could see that better. But there's his mouth and the fanged teeth, and wearing a headdress and a little ornament under the eye, and the eye is just a circle. So he's black spots, but he also has these blue spots too, and a kind of a belt, and the person next to him is ambiguous. Fang teeth, divided eyes like a person would have. And the hand going forward looks like a human hand. And so holding one staff here. And then the wing and back is here. Now, this charming piece of tapestry is camelids, so alpaca, maybe. I put it in because of the round nose, to try to see. Also, they have bared teeth, even though they're we might not associate that with them ourselves. And actually, there's one being born right up here.
What are these?
Alpaca,
Well, they are.
I mean, camelids of some kind.
Where's the one being born?
Okay, there's the top, it's a fragment, so you only see the mother's body,
Yeah.
cut off across here, and there's her legs, and there's the baby coming out.
Wow. Cool, yeah.
So, so when we look at this, which is one of the ones that I showed much earlier, it has a really prominent round nose, and it has kind of squared teeth. So maybe it's supposed to be the same kind of animal. The head is looking up, like many of the ones we saw previously. It has a headdress, a 3-part headdress, 3 parts here, and then also here, and then 3. They said that these might indicate feathers, tail feathers of the falcons. And so once you get down underneath the head, okay, this part has been all squished up, so there's just like one thumbnail. That's all you see of the hand holding the staff. Why did they do this? And so here's another one, and this is the one where this is another vertical panel that's made up of repeated images. And okay, the one in the middle, the feet are facing to our left, and the one up above him, the feet are facing to the right. So they're flipped. And holding the panpipes is a very unusual motif. So these were all found because they had either been woven in coastal communities from or by people who knew the Wari traditions, or they had been imported. And the reason that that's where they were found is that it's dry there, and in the highlands there's too much rain, and the grave goods in particular decayed. This one looks particularly cartoon-like to me. So I'm just looking at the head right there. There's the arm, the little diagonal for the arm. And the hand has been way stretched out because they've elongated that section. But it has a great big nose, kind of like a clown nose. There are the teeth. There's the eye, but it has a very prominent ornament under the eye. And then this great headdress that loops over in front.
Doesn't it look like a skyline? Like if it was turned around, it would look like a skyline.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, now this is another one that Sawyer looked at, so I've got a diagram to show you. But it's another vertical column of, you know, of images. But what is bizarre about this is that this image up here, which is facing to the left, is the same as this image down here, which is facing to the right, because of the compression. And I have a diagram to show you how that was done. Oh, gosh. Let me see if I can blow this up. Okay, so up at the top, there we go. Okay, this is what we're looking at on the A section on one part of the tapestry, and this is the B section. And then he goes down here and he expands everything. So he determined that the eye was in the middle. So this is a caiman, crocodilian. And but it doesn't actually look like that. But of course, it doesn't look like that either. That's all compressed. This is what they both actually would look like if you took away the compression. Come on. There we go. So it's the same figure. And it has a tail that curves around here, and 1 foot going forward and 1 foot going, no, wait, is that right? Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah. So I also have a funny story about this, because that's the picture on the front of the book by Sawyer. And I had a stack of books sitting on the floor at home, and that book was on top. And my husband and I were watching television, and he said, oh, wait, I can see what that is. That's a caiman. So anyway, so this is a black and white, I think it's a photograph, but it's fairly clear. Whereas the colored one was a little bit taken with raking light. So you see a lot of the texture, but that's interesting to see the texture. Oh, thank you so much, Adrian. I didn't know I could do that.
You can also use the forward and backward keys, the arrows,
Uh-huh.
to go back through, so you don't have to keep taking your cursor up to advance the slides.
And the same with the up and down keys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So at any rate, you can tell by the color of this slide and the color of the previous photograph that the color in my slides is all messed up. Some of it, I think this one is probably a slide that I had since the 70s and it faded. And the other one is one that I found somewhere.
I think it's interesting when in the 70s, I was at Berkeley doing ceramics from quarry.
Oh my
culture
God.
With Dorothy Menzel, and going through slideshows like this. And it was like, my eyes could not see it.
Yeah.
And now we live in a world of iconography. And all of a sudden, all this stuff makes sense now.
You just looked at a design or
Yeah.
something previously.
Yeah, it was like Greek, you know, and now
Yeah.
you look at a computer and it's all iconography.
I have a funny story about my son too. So he was 3 when we started the trip. He was 4 when we came back. And then I started my graduate work. And it was the best year of my life. I think I went to all the museums on the East Coast, and they let you in the back room if you're a graduate student. And and then I got slides and I took slides and I would project them at home and sit there trying to figure it out, trying to read it. And then we were in Washington, DC at Dunbarton Oaks, and they have a fantastic piece there that I couldn't find any pictures of to show you. And my husband and I always took turns looking at stuff and taking care of him. And so it was my turn to be in charge of him. And we were looking at this huge textile, and he said, "There's a monkey." And I said, "Oh, I'll give you a penny for every monkey you can find." and he went, "Bop, bop, 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 bop." And then he said, "Okay, how about the soldiers?" And he found all the soldiers, and so we went through, all of the images. But the really funny thing was that the guards were astounded. It was like, to them, it wasn't anything, so.
I just saw a picture of that if you need it.
Ah,
I can't.
well, this is what I would have needed it for, so it doesn't.
Yeah, that's.
But I hope I get to see it again sometime. That is really something.
So are these, what, are they prayer rooms or fabric or what?
No, these are all things to wear, but what they meant, we don't know,
Oh, yeah, cause some, now, I mean, you look at this and if you turn it over, it almost looks like a modern house. It's like,
yeah,
there's a roof and a chimney and all that. And it's like, some of those look like plot maps, they look like
Yeah.
the plot map of
Yeah.
a town or something.
so this is another example. I showed one earlier, of the face and the stepped spiral, and then it's upside down on the next square, and they alternate as they go up and down. And let's see what. And I thought this was funny because when I copied this, I went ahead and copied the legend underneath. And then I took a look at it and I said, "Oh, all the faces are upside down. I wonder if they knew that." So I've got a couple of other kind of unique ones that are still in the same style, and then just a bunch of really cool pre-Columbian fabric, of all different kinds. This I can't read, but when you look at the bottom, there are all these faces that look more realistic than many of the others, but they also look to us really, really cartoony.
Now, isn't the warp going vertically here because the slit is formed by selvage?
They applied on top of it.
There were, and now I can't remember which was which. There were two different ways to make the slit, but I think the warp is,
Yeah, vertical.
oh, and that's not what I said earlier. Okay, sorry about that.
Can you enlarge it a little so we can see some of the elements?
Yeah.
I suspect that the earlier ones, if they were meant to be worn, would also have been done like that, because that's the logical way to do it. They didn't have, they weren't doing cutting and sewing.
You're saying the whole garment was woven as one piece.
Yeah,
Or in,
Well,
in
and
panels
you can
and sewn
turn
together.
the slit and go back and make it a selvage.
Ag, what's that?
Get rid of that.
Oh, don't know. So all of this down here, I couldn't figure out. It looks like there might be a face up there. Certainly there are appendages coming out with little heads on the end of them.
Some more.
It's gonna get pretty fuzzy, I'm afraid.
Okay. It looks like a lot of teeth.
So this one is unique. But clearly from the same, the same tradition. And when I'll blow this up and, well, I think I actually did that on the next slide. But the giant snakes are not seen in any other textiles that have been found so far. There are two little jaguars right up at the top on either side of the neck slit, and another couple over here. The very first piece I think I showed had little sleeves, which is very rare. And so Sawyer was saying that maybe those were for the highest rank. Let's see, I think I've got, yeah, they're the two little guys in one of the sections. So this is obviously a big departure from the vertical stripes. And yeah, some of the eyes are similar and the feet are similar, and they're holding heads instead of staffs. But they both have kind of necklaces.
This is kind of similar to the Chinese robes. In the Chinese robes, the higher ranking people have icons woven into the robe, and you can tell how highly ranked someone is by what the icons are on their robe.
It would make sense, yeah. So this is just a piece of wonderful weaving and dyeing to show you. And there was an article written in 2000 called "The Order of Things in Ancient Peru, Visual Metaphors in Wari-Associated Discontinuous Warp and Weft Textiles." So she says that there are two main kinds. One is the complex tie-dyes like this, and the other is cloth woven in multiple techniques. So I've got, I keep forgetting I could do this instead. Okay, this is a painted textile, and not a lot of those have survived, but I
Same
thought,
period?
pardon?
Same period, same timing?
Good question. I don't know, sorry. Yeah, I just, I didn't pay any attention to that. Okay, so this is, I've got a diagram showing the discontinuous warp and weft. And then this is the piece that I found to illustrate that with. And Lolly was saying the other day that she had heard that it was because they could get pure colors then in a plain weave, that the warp wouldn't be diluted by whatever color the weft was if you had a discontinuous.
I think they did it because they just were really great.
Yes.
When Lolly and I were in Peru, we went to a village, way far out in the Andes, and they were doing discontinuous work.
Yes, wow, that's, yeah, I forget,
Martha Stanley actually went
Yes.
back and was teaching.
she was
She was
figured
resurrecting.
all that stuff out, it's just
Yeah.
amazing. And I actually went on a field trip with Martha and other people, and we were camping in this little, we were like the field trip, the kids came to see us. And and yeah, it was, they set us up with the little, rooms and everything, and then, we were obviously so unskilled that they just let the kids teach us. It was funny. And then at one point, my shuttle that was made out of a stick fell apart, and I kind of held it up looking kind of pathetic, and this woman came over with her knife and handed it back to me like, "Get back to work, Gringa."
What are
This-
those? Are they most?
This is embroidery. And I should know when it was, and I don't. I do know that it's Paracas, I believe. So a different culture. This is Inca, and the techniques were very similar in the tapestry tunics, but they're not all as plain as this, but they don't have any of the figurative imagery that the Wari has. Now this, you can go see in just a
Yes,
minute. This is part of the Pacific Textile Arts collection, and they're in the case in the front room.
They're very, very valuable.
And this is our little piece that is Wari technique, at least, if not exactly the same imagery. So the little person here is standing and apparently not carrying anything, but with hands up.
Well, didn't it look to me like from some of these that the bird became a person with all the same regalia, but it was a human, not a bird.
Yeah. So I think there's just one more. Yeah. So these are created from real textiles that are really old, but they have been found in graves and made into things that tourists will buy. So this one I found interesting because the little guy over here, well, his feet aren't quite like that, but there's a tunic, a bottom of a tunic and two legs here. on the- So that's it.
Well,